Well, the end is almost here for Filthy and Mo, in the middle of fucking nowhere where Oz told them to go.
They had no doubt he told the truth of the location. In their brain they knew that Griggs was gonna die, but they just needed to cause him pain.
Poisonous clouds in the skies of an abominable size. As everything dies, a building catches their eyes. Off in the distance inside a fire of lies, the radiation poison hole struggling with their tries. They knew too well that they're about to meet their demise. According to the clock, they may not see the sunrise. Fighting death is agony, relief's in giving in. It's not brave to sacrifice a life you're sick of living when you really wanna die. When you'd rather you survive, you got one thing forcing you to cling to your life. Revenge. What you gotta know, there's no more fighting, no more running, cause there ain't no light at the end of the tunnel. They walked through a big vacant field with the snow. Mo lost a shoe on the foot of the lake that had the bullet hole.
They each carried a bag in which weapons were tucked, dragging their feet through the contaminated snow sick as fuck.
They stole another car to get this far and ran out of gas. They considered themselves lucky about how long it could last. As they were walking endlessly, the cathedral got bigger. Griggs had it painted white, he thought it was a holy figure. It seemed like an eternity, these two crazies walking forever. Ran a nuclear winter freezing shit, controlling the weather. 5:40 a.m. in the dead of the dawn, in the dead of the night. Everything's wrong, not a fucking one's alright. After what seemed like hours, they were 10 feet away from the mighty mote of fire, lighting up the night like day. It surrounded a massive cathedral 500 feet tall. The front doors were large and wooden, stone and marble was the walls.
Deus Ex Machina.
It set above the entrance and over to the south, the graveyard behind it fits the mote of fire 10 feet across with no visible bridge. They jumped in the pit of flames off an adjacent bridge and ran through the fire in the pursuit of the liar so that they could retire the dire things he inspires. They crawled out of the moat with revenge in store and grabbed the big brass handle and opened up the front door.
They took a step inside, silence echoed through the room. They yelled, "Lord of Vic," hoping to see him soon.
They stood in a large chapel, wooden bench of stained glass, torches hung on the pillars holding up the heavy mass.
The doors closed on their own, they weren't scared but beware. No hesitation to go forward, cause they knew why they were there.
After 100 feet of benches on the stage was a podium. It was a gigantic room, but only a fraction of what they'd come.
What a strange fucker, did he build this by himself?
He probably had followers who gave him some help.
One way or the other, he's gotta fucking suffer.
The lunatic better pray because he's had his last supper.
Up on the stage, a pipe organ sat, silent pipes crawling up the wall. Thunder rumbled, sounded violent, many candle flames shivered at the place they all repented. An enormous mass of people at his masses they attended, and he preached to them, he squeaked to them to build utopia. When the organ played itself with no visible inertia. Step up and testify. If it do you for the sake of your curse, so give me a hallelujah. They wandered deep into the church that was the quarters of this clan. They had a silver bullet safe for the apocalyptic man. A smaller wooden room as they wandered through the place held a cruel tapestry showing Mordevic's face. Paintings and portraits hung on the walls next to torches. The stone they burned next to through the years acquired scorches. Griggs paid engineers, and after the job he killed the scholars. What the cathedral cost and what it was worth was $50 million. A stone spiral staircase was in the corner of the room. The bumps heard a cackling of a loon, they assume.
And now it was time to pull the booze out of the bag. They chugged the fucking bottle that didn't drag with a lag.
Then sped down the stairs to the first subsurface floor and beheld a 50-foot tall stone corridor. It went so far straight and faded off into the dark. Mo proceeded into it, but Filthy called him back.
Hark! Check it out, there's a body over there.
He points to the knife in the back of the man lay dead at the top of the stairs.
This way.
They took stairs down, so far down and around, never giving up until the preacher was found.
When they finally reached the bottom, they stopped dead in their tracks in what appeared to be a maze with at least 5 different paths. Bodies chained to the wall in the position of a crucifixion, each one in a different stage of decomposition. Ominous shouts reverberated through the walls, losing meaning but not feeling as they echoed through the halls. They had to move, so they chose a path and set off.
The earth is now empty of all the sinners drowned in their sloth.
As they wandered, Mo said,
"Those shouts sound like Griggs.
I know I hear the motherfucker, but don't know where he is." Battle-worn, shot, cut, bruised, battered, and burned, and they still let out a scream at the next corner they turned.
The sign said,
"The Pike Room."
And they went through the door. It was a dungeon of decapitation with a bloody floor, many rows of heads. The two gagged at the stench, and the guillotine, the one good thing we got from the French. Amongst the butcher's screaming craniums, they came across this. The shrunken, shriveled head of Professor Leviticus. They removed it from its pipe while trying to ignore the sound, and bolted desperately straight through the first door they found. The Hall of Enemies, it said, and just us that it was the products of his rich insanity and the things that he does.
All the pictures on the wall showed all for who he'd held hate. He had an enemy in mind for every portrait he'd paint.
And all the pictures here had their faces burned away. The misled nemesis that he'd silenced in his day. The hallway long and tall and incredibly decorated. More torches crackled grimly so the hall's illuminated.
Mo picked up one of the torches, filthy cradled Rutherford's head, trying to protect it from the danger, although it shriveled, shrunken to death.
They moved on through time, through the hall, they kept hearing the voice. The acoustics built deliberately, minister's choice. At the end of the hall, they looked up at the wall and saw the pictures of themselves, Rutherford and Oswald. Bruce's was the only one that still had its face, and Griggs was ranting a sermon in a large white space that they could hear.
The Almighty, the day of reckoning is here. This which I've been waiting for many a year. Blind souls descend to Hades as they'll pick that by the sparrows. But as my loyal followers, I shall shield you from the peril. And although we've been betrayed, the traitors took on their sin to be buried in sky, never to see the light again. Our new society begins soon, it's well underway. After ages upon ages, we'll behold the seventh day.
Holy fuck, he's probably talking to thousands.
And speaking logically, I don't think we can get around him.
We'll just run straight towards him through a path we'll have made.
He reached into the bag and pulled out a handy grenade. They creaked open the door quietly and looked in. After a split second of looking at son of a bitch, it's him. They looked at him again with blood boiling hate. They came there with the purpose of trying to bring him his fate. They crept through the door to the colossal room of stone, and their skin started to crawl when they saw he was alone. They hid behind a bench in this big empty sermon room. There was dust on the seats, amidst which they loomed.
Griggs was going crazy, throwing his hands up in the air. Philly and Mo snuck down closer and stopped, and this is where Mo looked directly at Griggs and aimed at the fiend from 20 feet away. Blast, and the minister screamed. He grabbed his forearm and turned around and then saw the two he believed to be dead after his attacks on the law. His face was pure shock.
You filthy sinning demon-ridden
Again in the shoulder, cause they ain't kidding. They threw a torch into some curtains that all went up in flames. They needed to leave not only Griggs, but his cathedral in remains. Mortimer's eyes went red, he understood how they could find him. After a second of gazing, he bolted out the door behind him. The bums ran after the priest and finally got to the door. They had their way guided by his blood on the floor. They went up a different route, one step at a time, and their blood was magnified with every stair that they climbed. On his trail they followed as much as they can, but they're fatigued and nuts and damned by this man.
Faster, hurry up, he might get away.
That demented bastard, not if I have my say.
They ran through more hallways, disgusted by all of his fame, past a sadistic shrine and bones created in his name. They heard a door slam shut a little ways ahead. The path was led by the red on the floor, his blood shed. They reached the locked door but had a good place to start. Mo pulled the pin, hit it, and blew the fucker apart. With the cathedral ablaze, sought revenge on this man who wanted only to escape and live the best that he can. Up to the chapel, back to the first room, they come all this way. Many sickening sights seen all through the night while they followed the bloodstained. Griggs was yelling as he's running, never ceasing as he taunted. The organ played itself because the fucking place is haunted. An ear-shattering tune, the audible volume had peaked. It's deafening as the haunted walls burned and shrieked. Filthy saw Griggs and shot a bullet past his waist. The preacher sped upstairs without any time to waste. He struggled along. Been shot twice, but the sinners have been through hell and their lack of speed would be nice. Griggs fled from the tomb as they destroyed all his wealth. They had him scared and alarmed, but he wouldn't admit this to himself.
I may be shot, but I'll perish here not. This means nothing, it's not the first time I've been caught.
In pursuit of Minister Mortific, they both ran through another room. It smelled of lamb's blood and of sulphurous fume. The pace of the race was slow with agonizing frustration. Being this close but unable was an excruciating sensation. Mo fired through the hallway and Griggs had missed the first. The priest whipped around the corner, the bombs were out of lethal force. They'd been shot, slashed, drunk, hungover, starved, whipped and beaten, and locked up with a body that they'd resorted to partial eating. All because of Griggs and his selfish, wicked ways. Now just 4 feet behind, the bumps followed through the maze. Filthy picked up an urn and Mo was throwing the guns. The floor is quaking and burning as the minister runs. He looked back at them as they followed him, a smirk on his face. Filthy smashed him with the urn and ashes covered the place. Griggs spouted off things that he had never said before.
You're a sinful bastard and your mother's a whore.
He threw holy water at them as he went outside through a door. The ceiling pipe crashed down, now obstacles on the floor. He's getting away!
They pushed through the rubble and through the door they saw the trouble, and their panic had doubled. A helicopter pad and this is bad. Griggs is in a chopper during the seventh sunrise. The blade's not yet spinning proper. Fucking out of breath and badly injured. They run across the roof. They could have laid down and died, but the clock had spoken the truth. Mo had reached the chopper first and threw the door open wide. Grabbed Griggs' shoulder, bullet wound, and pulled him outside.
This is for the old man, motherfucker, you're dead.
Then Filthy cut the priest to the dome with the professor severed
head. He stood up straight, a whole foot taller than the others in the squalor. He punched Mo in the solar plexus, letting out an angry holler.
So Mo stabbed the bullet hole in the waist with haste and a knife. The preacher had to receive pay before they ended their lives.
Griggs had a blade of his own and threw it high and brought it down with a whoosh and stabbed Filthy right in the eye. Filthy screamed out as Mordovic turned to Mo, speaking his hatred. He didn't know Filthy was still conscious with less time than he could afford.
Now you shall perish for tampering with the work of the Lord.
Filthy pulled the knife from his eye. On your mark,
Get ready to die!
he charged at Griggs. The three went over the edge and fell into the sky. Filthy's head slapped a stone wall and squirted some brains. Mo, Griggs, and his corpse landed down in the flames. Chunks of broken stone smacked Griggs from up high. He realized that his dream was a vision. He saw how he would die. They rolled in the fire, screaming, dying together. Their bones would remain